8 reasons why you avoid intimacy and its factors. There are many people who are afraid or fear of getting engaged in a relationship. They feel like it might be hurtful, or too much risk, so they choose to avoid that. As the result, those people never get long-lasting relationship that brings happiness in their life. What is intimacy? First of all, you need to know the meaning of intimacy. If you have known this meaning, then you will notice whether this kind of thing that you try to avoid. Intimacy refers to the ability to genuinely share your true self with another person and relate to the experience of closeness and connection. Intimacy includes several things, including intellectual intimacy, where you love sharing ideas and thoughts with another person. There is also emotional intimacy. It's the ability to share your feeling with another. If you are able to share yourself sexually, then it's sexual intimacy. In this life, we also have people who often share experiences with us, so that means we have experiential intimacy with that person. From many kinds of intimacy in this life, it's very possible to have more than one intimacy with a person, especially if we have tight connection with that person. What is fear of intimacy? Meanwhile, some people are afraid of having connection with others. It's what we call as fear of intimacy. People who live with fear of intimacy might be so comfortable to become vulnerable and love showing their true self to the world at first. But they often set the limit to how vulnerable they will allow themselves to be. In this video, you will learn about fear of intimacy and what are the signs. Experts believe that fear of intimacy is associated to anxiety disorders. So without any further ado, here are the signs if you are avoid intimacy. 1. Fear of abandonment. If you are afraid of abandonment, or you worry too much that your partner will leave you, it could be one of clear sign that you avoid intimacy. You have experienced the abandonment in the past, either emotionally or physically. 2. Fear of engulfment. Some people who are living with fear of engulfment are afraid of being controlled, dominated, or losing themselves in a relationship. Sometimes, this fear stems from growing up in an enmeshed family. 3. Anxiety disorders. If you are experienced anxiety disorders, or social phobia, the fear of intimacy may occur in your life. Expert classified fear of intimacy as the subset of these conditions. First, people who are afraid of judgment from others. They also afraid of being evaluated, rejected, so they shy to make intimacy and personal connection with other people. In several cases, many people are also fear of touch, which makes them avoid intimacy. Meanwhile, some other people are very comfortable in superficial social situations. They make friends a lot, but surprisingly they have no deeply personal relationships at all. 4. Serial dating and fear of commitment. People with fear of intimacy often have social interactions. They have no problem with it, at least initially. But when the relationship goes closer, the value of relationship grows, things begin to fall apart. They won't able to connect the intimate level, and as the result, the relationship is ended. They replace the relationship with another, which is more superficial, over and over again. They often engage in short-term relationship and fear of making commitment. If you find someone with this sign, she or he is avoiding intimacy. 5. Perfectionism. Perfectionist people often see that other people does not deserve to be loved and supported. They always need perfect one to be with them. It takes them being so busy at work, or other manifestation of perfectionism. The fear of intimacy usually works by pushing others away instead of draw them near. 6. Difficulty expressing needs. There are some people who have difficulty in expressing needs and wishes. Again, it comes from the feeling that they don't deserve other people's support. Other people, especially your partner, is not a mind reader. So when you find something goes unfulfilled, you need to express your feeling. But when you are avoiding intimacy, this pattern usually happens and will lead to lack of trust in the relationship. 7. Sabotaging relationships. People who avoid intimacy may sabotage their relationship in many ways. The act of sabotage may take in long ways, such as being very critical of partner, also manifested in other ways such as acting suspicious, and accusing a partner of something that hasn't actually occurred. 8. Difficulties with physical contact. Intimacy is often translated as physical contact. So it's clear that when you are afraid of making physical contact with another, you are avoiding intimacy. In worse condition, people who avoid intimacy will completely avoid physical contact. Risk factors of fear of intimacy. Now, after you know the signs of avoiding intimacy, you may be wondering about the factors which trigger those things happen. Meanwhile, in fact, the fear of intimacy can be harder to detect because people spend most of their time behind their phone and social media. But here are some factors which triggers fear of intimacy you should notice. It is often linked to the childhood event and inability to trust parents or adults in the past, so they have attachment issues. The childhood experiences that lead to fear of intimacy, among others. 1. Enmeshed families. This condition is when a family seems to be loving and supportive on the surface, but they actually have issues with blurred boundaries and roles. The issues lead to issues with attachment, independence, and intimacy. 2. Emotional neglect. It's clear that emotionally neglected is not comfortable. So parents who are physically but not emotionally available deliver the message to their children that they can't be relied on. 3. Loss of a parent. Children who lost their parents for many reasons, such as divorce, death, or imprisonment, may live with feelings of abandonment. When they are adult, they have harder time to make a romantic attachments and tend to avoid intimacy. According to research, fear of abandonment is associated with mental health problems and later anxiety in romantic relationships. 4. Parental illness. Illness in parents can lead to the feeling of not being able to rely on anyone but oneself, especially when it involves role reversal or the need to play parent and care for other siblings at a young age. 5. Parental mental illness. According to research, parental mental illness, such as narcissistic personality disorder, can affect attachment formation in children. This issue may result in insecure attachment in adulthood, so they tend to avoid intimacy. 6. Parental substance use. Children that experienced the consistent care from parent because of the substances issues will have issues with the formation of attachments. 7. Physical or sexual abuse. Abusive acts are very traumatic. It makes the victim has difficult time to form the sexual and emotional intimacy. 8. Neglect. People who experienced neglect in the past, especially when they were children, may find it difficult to trust and rely on others, including intimate partners in adulthood. 9. Verbal abuse. People who are emotionally abused will be someone who fear of verbally abused if they share anything with others. It makes them unable to form intimacy with other people.